Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Anjali, for this for organizing this interaction. Uh, it has been a lot of time, I think, since I talked to students last time, and I think more than me in this today's interaction, I think it will be Anjali Birla, who will be rather more relevant because she has just qualified the exam, and I have done it around 10 years ago, and this is a very unique combination of old and the new. She will be telling you more about things that are contemporary, that are current, and I think I'll be sharing a bit more about when I look back at the service, and there are certain things which just do not change. It's like certain exams, the way you qualify exams, the way you strategize, the way you think about your results. I think those are like ever unchanging, timeless realities of our life. It's not just about civil services exam, but it's about all other bigger exams in our life. We know how do we strategize and how do we think about things. The unique thing about civil services exam or any other such exam is that we are working under a lot of pressure. I think all of us agree on that. There's a huge deadline before us, and we feel like the competition is tremendous. There are so many people who are doing the same thing, the way we are doing the things. They are also reading the same study material. They have the same access to same books and the online access. They have also to the same material. Then what is it which makes some people succeed and qualify, and some people just do not? I think there must be something to it. One interesting thing which happens is the moment you sit on your book and you want to study, I think all of a sudden all the thoughts in the world start coming to your mind. You open your book and you want to read something, and suddenly you will wonder. They are unable to stay focused. And I was discussing with Anjali last time. I said, I mean, it has been a lot of time. What does one talk to students these days? They know what is to be studied. They have all the access to the study materials. She said, basically, the problem is that how do you stay motivated? How do you manage your time? So when I look at the upcoming civil services prelims exam, I think you have 60 odd days left with you. I'm sure most of you people have been preparing already. Some of you may be newcomers, but I'm sure by now you have a fair understanding of the style of the exam, of the format of the exam. Most of you must have already done maybe the first revision of your textbooks. I think what you need to finalize at this stage of time is how do you manage the rest of the 60 days? And how do you overcome those doubts in your mind, which will constantly keep on cropping up? Those doubts, those questions. There's this guy called Albert Bandura. So he asks three questions. He says whenever we are ahead, whenever we are trying to face a challenge, or whenever we are trying to do something difficult, there are three things or three questions which come to our mind. One is the question that can I do it? So one is the question of self-belief. He calls it a self-efficacy question. That do I have the capability to do this? IAS is such a big exam. UPSC is such a difficult. I mean, they have their question papers so uniquely prepared that every year the question paper is not repeated at all. For last 20 years, people have not repeated the questions. So the question comes to us, can I do it? Second is that when you start preparing them and you come to overcome this doubt, and then you start thinking, but it's okay, I'm preparing, I'm reading these textbooks, I'm reading that study material, I'm talking to that coaching, but can it work? Am I doing the right thing? And the third thing, the third doubt I think which comes to us is that when you actually do it, you then feel that is it worth doing it? Is IAS, UPSC, or IPS, or Indian Foreign Service, is this something that I want to do in life? I think these three questions, I'm sure all you people must be also battling with in your mind these days. I think the first thing that you should, I think, do at this time is to start believing in yourselves. There is Charles Bukowski has said an amazing thing. He says, if you want to try something, just go the whole hog. Just do it. Whenever in my life I had to do something, you know what I have done? I have made a resolution with myself that this is one thing which I want to do, and I will put all my effort in it to do it. I recall telling somebody that I had to read this novel, War and Peace, by Tolstoy. It's a uh, very long, very big size novel. So it takes a lot of time. For many years, I thought of studying this novel, and I would read maybe 10 pages, 20 pages, 30 pages, and then just put it down. It was just simply impossible for me to overcome that mental block that can I do it? And then one day I said, talk to myself. I said, this is not going to happen. I am going to spend the rest of my time planning to read this novel, and it's not going to be finishing at all. So I said, okay, I give this task to myself that while I am planning to do this for next 10 days, I overcome all the distractions in my life. I keep my phone aside. I maybe start making small changes in my sleep pattern. I decide, okay, if I sleep at 9, I'll sleep at 10, I'll sleep at 11. So making small changes in my lifestyle. If I was going for a walk, I will be changing the timings of my walk. If I was meeting my friends, I'll be making small adjustments in the way I meet my friends. I will be if I'm listening to music, if I'm addicted to my mobile phone, I will be trying to make small changes to my mobile phone usage so that I can reach that bigger goal and achieve it. And believe me, it finally took me, I think, around 12 days to do the first reading of War and Peace. And not just that, it inspired me so much that I read Anna Karenina also, which is also an equally voluminous book, I think, in the next 10 days. This is, I mean, you can imagine the kind of hard work, the kind of concentration one needs. But I think the moment you control your mind, the moment you can start believing in yourself that this is something which is important for you, I think then things start happening. So three or four things I want to be short, and so that we have more time for questions. I think three or four things which need to be, I think, in your minds this time is that one is how do you plan your time? Everybody among you is unique. We don't need to tell this cliche thing one more time. People tell me, Shah Faisal, you did your UPSC in 6 to 8 months. Why don't you give this formula to everybody? I say everybody is unique in his own way. You know when is your maximum concentration in the time of the day. Are you more focused in the mornings? Are you more focused in the evenings? What kind of foods impact you? What kind of books you like to read? What do you like to read in the forenoon? What do you like to read in the afternoon? How are your nightly timings? Are you a night bird? Are you an early riser? That you know. I think you will have to adjust your study routine to that. Do not expect anybody else to tell you how to manage your time because you know your body, you know your interests, and you know your shortcomings. I think second thing would be to do away with the distractions. I think it's the most important thing at this time. I think when I did exam in 2010, I think there were far lesser distractions. We were distractions that time. I think we were going on 2G or maybe 3G at the most. I don't recall was it even 3G that time. I think it was 2G. We didn't have 4G or then the 5G and now the geo fiber and all big things. I think there is too much of distraction at time, and I sympathize with you guys that you will have to deal with a lot of distractions and you will have to keep in mind that these 3 or 4 months are the life transforming times of your life. This may never ever come again. Anjali has been very lucky. I mean, she did her in the first attempt. I have been also very lucky that I could qualify this exam in the first attempt, but it takes time. It needs a lot of effort. Not everybody does it in the first attempt. One has to maybe constantly keep on improving and face disappointments at the time of results, and then keep on standing up from the ashes and do it. So you have to understand this. If you get these two months right, then the sky is the limit. Then maybe it'll save you. I recall one important quote when we used to go for army. We had this army attachment in the IAS training, and this quote used to be everywhere. It was that if you sweat a lot in training, you bleed a lot less in the war, in the battle. So this is the time. If this is the time when you start sweating, you will bleed a lot less. You will not bleed at all. You will not sweat at all when tomorrow the question paper is in front of you. Then the third thing would be maybe about staying flexible. It's about, are you flexible with your timings? It's not that we are machines. I can tell you have to study 20 hours or 13 hours a day or 15 hours a day. You don't have to sleep and do anything else. I think that's not how life works. I think you will have to be flexible with your timings. If you someday want to go for a coffee, you want to meet a friend, you want to call your girlfriend, your boyfriend, I mean, you want to go for a date, you want to go to the nightclub, please go ahead. I mean, keep it flexible. But the best part is that you should be able to come back to your normal routine. You should be able to come back to your focus and to your major or the main mission which you have in your life. I think that's very important. People tell me, did you sleep at all? I'll be concluding, I think, in 5 minutes. Did you sleep at all? I would say that I would sleep, I think, plenty. And whatever amount of sleep your body requires, please give it to it. And the last thing would be that how do you how do you deal with such a lot of material? I mean, it's so overwhelming at times that too many books, too many notes, too many newspapers. I think at this stage, the more focus should be towards repeating and towards revising. The more you revise rather than reading 100 books, I think it's about reading a couple of books, 3 books, 4 books, which are like important, and then revising with yourself and retaining. You have to understand civil service is not about becoming information gatherers. Your job is not, you're not like Google people. You're not like people who are going to just collect this information, keep it in their heads, and then tomorrow regurgitate it. You're not rote learning all this just for answering the questions. The idea is that you will have to run this country tomorrow. And how do you run this country is that when you understand what you're studying and when you analyze it, when you draw conclusions out of it, you are this time in budget session of the parliament. This is the time to understand Indian polity. This is the time to understand Indian economy. This is the time to understand Indian foreign affairs. This is the time to understand Indian democracy, how the debate tradition works in Indian democracy. Everything is around you this time. This is the time to apply all that knowledge which you have taken from the books. I think I would conclude by saying that this is the time to be positive. If you do not take risk, if you do not stay positive, if you do not have belief in yourself, and if you're not adequately motivated to do this exam, it'll be very difficult for you. Stay motivated. Those people like us who have done it, I mean, there are going to be definitely more difficult exams in life. Very difficult, where you don't know the syllabus, where you don't know how to pass, where there is nobody to guide you. Those exams we leave for tomorrow. Those exams you will have to fight. Those battles you will have to fight tomorrow. But this is the battle which is today. For next 2 months, give your maximum, give your best shot to it. And I assure you, it's not a big exam. It's not a very complicated exam. Everybody does it. Anybody who I have seen working very hard has done it. I'm sure you guys will also do. I thank Anshu for organizing this session. Maybe in the other part of the program, we'll first listen to Anjali, and then I can also take it.
I would like to begin with a simple question that 90% of the aspirants don't have an answer to, even when they are facing the interview. That is why civil services. Most of us are into the exam because of the hearsay or because rumors have told us or people have told it and made a big show about it. But if you ask yourself every day, why do you want to become a civil servant? And you ask yourself facing the mirror, that why do you want to clear this exam? I think that will be, your answer will be all the motivating talk that you need. Your answer will be all the motivation that you need and all the inspiration that you need, all the reason that you need to sit for the exam and to face the ordeal of the entire year that the exam goes through. Now, also when you ask yourself why, and you are focused on why do you want to do it, the how becomes easy. So when you are clear with why you want to clear this exam, the how should you go about it becomes very easy. And that is how you actually motivate yourself to to come forth and study each and every day polity, economics, and all the subjects that are there. And that is how, as Sir Shah Faesal sir mentioned, that there's so many distractions. I think that is how you say no to all these distractions. I remember I was studying for civils. I did not use any phone. I gave up all my phone for the entire 2 years. I did not get a step out of the room. And that is how your life should become, that you say no to all your social events. And this UPSC preparation and saying no to distraction teaches you a very valuable lesson, that saying no is very important. And when you say no for, say, a date, for, say, a coffee, and you choose studying, you're actually motivating yourself for the rest of the life to prioritize your work, your dedication, your consistency over everything else. Secondly, I would like to begin on the how part of it. So there is always a day one. I'm sure that many of you are into the preparation already. So there's no day one for you. But if then also start today. There's always a day one for every aspirant, and for every aspirant feels like this is a big monster which is very hard to kill, and it's a mountain that we cannot climb. And you should feel that it's a mutual feeling. Everyone, even people who've done it, also feel the same. Secondly, I would say that you have to define your own course. when you enter into the preparation, many times we pick on the books that our friends have said to read, or yojana pad lo, ye pad lo, wo pad lo, but it's not practically humanly possible to read everything. I mean, Shah Faesal sir, to all his credit, can read War and Peace, but you and I, as an average person, cannot read it, and it's not even necessary to for this exam. So we have to define our own course, and we have to when we define the course, we should not shift to other books or to other sources just because somebody else tells us to. Once you have defined your course, that this is what the course is, because in UPSC everything under the sun is course, so you can't just go on reaching out for the lamps that you cannot see. You have to define your own course. Post that, revision is very important, and re-revise it as many times. I totally remember that I did at least 5.5 times revision of all the static material before appearing for prelims, and of also the tests that I took. I revised them at least 3 times, because it's very important to revise the mistakes that we made so that we do not repeat them again. So revision plays a very important role, re-revising it and consistently doing the same thing. If you can study for 8 hours a day, but then you cannot study, say if you study 12 hours today, but you don't study even 1 hour, it's a waste. Rather, you should have a schedule of, say, 8 hours or anything which you think is practical for you to continue, but you have to do it consistently. Thirdly would be that you should divide your time judiciously and practically. If you know that say polity, you are weak at polity. And fourth would be, you should know your strength and weakness. So if you know that polity, you take more time in polity, then you should give it more time, and that depends on person to person. So you should divide your time judiciously, and also you should be honest in your preparation, that what are your strength and what are your weakness. And rather than focusing, you should obviously work on your weakness, but when you enter the exam hall, you should always know that you should play by your strength. If you know that say history or polity is your strong points, then always play by that and start by attempting history and polity questions, because they give you that confidence, and then later on you can move to your weak part. But during preparation, it's the vice versa. Give most time to your weakness and try to polish it as much as you should play by your strength. But also while preparation should be the versa thing, that you should focus more on your weakness and then give less time to your strength, because you already know you have an upper hand there. Sixth, do not overcritical of yourself. I write mains test series, I was very critical of myself that I'm not writing. So don't be overcritical of yourself, but also don't be overconfident that you can crack. Be wise to it. Like, of course, Faisal sir could do it in 6 months. I cannot do it in 6 months. I still can't do it in 6 months. I took a good 1 year and 1.5 year before prelims, wherein I did nothing but study. And because I was very practical with the fact that this much course has to be covered. So you have to be practical with your approach, and you also don't have to be overcritical of yourself and don't be overconfident too. But when you enter the exam hall, you should carry that confidence with you, and that will only come if you give a lot of tests. If you appear for a lot of tests, at least you should do, I mean, I don't want to demoralize you if you haven't, but at least you should do 50 tests before prelims. That is the least that should be there. Then at least 2 coaching institutes mains test series you should be able to complete before your actual mains, and at least 5 to 6 mock interviews before your actual interview. Now, if you appear for tests so many times, if you evaluate yourself so many times, then you become used to the exam pattern, first of all, and then you carry that confidence also with you. I remember when I was walking into the prelims hall, I carried that confidence that all of these people who are sitting next to me, who are sitting beside me, they're going to comment on YouTube one day that, you know, I was with her while she was writing the exam. And so you have to carry that confidence. And to my surprise and to my luck, that they still have commented, and it gives immense pleasure to see them. But this is all that this is the kind of confidence that you have to carry yourself into the exam. And prelims is still okay, but I think mains, you have to be very quick. In prelims, you can still give time to maybe going to the loo or trying to freshen yourself up. But mains is very strenuous with respect to time. So You have to be very fast at attempting all the questions, and that if you don't have that confidence, if you don't have that mental positivity and mental push that in your head, then mains gets a lot more tedious task, because you have mains, because you have paper 1 and paper 2, all back-to-back exams are there. So it's very important that you go into the exam with the right mental space, with the right confidence, and that will come when you evaluate yourself multiple times before actually UPSC evaluates you. And lastly would be that you should give your 100%. I do not believe in multitasking. I do not believe that UPSC is a cakewalk that you can do multiple things together. But if you are able to judiciously divide time and do it, it's great. But otherwise, also, if you are doing something, if you have taken up onto yourself that you want to appear for this exam and you want to become a civil servant, you have that inspiration to do it and you know the why of it, then you should give your 100%. I have heard many people say that they're not going to complete, they're not going to do ancient history and sit for the exam. Why would you do that? You should complete the course. You should know the course. If UPSC has listed that history would have ancient part, you should have it. You should be thorough with it. That's a different story, that you may or may not be able to answer the questions there given the type of questions they ask, but at least you should complete the course from your end. And so just given your 100%, don't try to fool yourself, or don't try to keep yourself into a bubble, and give your 200%, 100%, and while you're into it. And don't look out for excuses. There are a lot of people who keep on blaming that there's 60% of reservation, there's favoritism. I tell you from a point that there is no favoritism. The UPSC is very transparent, very fair as a process, as an exam, and you should respect the institution that you are studying for. You should respect the exam process that you're studying for. And when you have made the choice that you are going to give this exam, then don't focus on all these trivial things, that there's 60% reservation. You know it. It's an open fact that there is 60% reservation. If you know it and still you've taken upon yourself that you want to appear for the exam, then well and good. Then fight for the 40%, and then don't crib in the process. Enjoy the process. I think it's one of the most enlightening years, but don't stop at the process. I've heard officers tell that, recount that that's the only thing that they've done in their lives. Don't be one of them. Of course, there's so much more that we can do and so much more that you're going to do. And but this is one of the most defining process of our lives, where we learn about ourselves and about our exam. So just walk in with the confidence, and I'm sure that everybody knows the book list. It's very common. Just define your course and be into it. Thank you. And now the floor is, I'll give it to Anshu ma'am. Maybe she wants to speak something.
Hello, Anjali ma'am. Hello, Shah Faesal sir. So I'm a resident of Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, and I'm currently targeting the year 2022 for my UPSC attempt. And so my question is that while revising, sir, what should our main focus be towards the language that is exactly written there while revising it for the first time, or should it be regarding understanding the idea or the concepts of it all? Hello.
I can chip in with my small comment. I think when it comes to studying Indian Constitution, there are certainly some of the sections of the Indian Constitution where you would want to at least understand a little bit of the language as well. Suppose you are reading preamble and it's expected that you at least understand, or you at least remember how the preamble is written. You cannot rephrase preamble in your own words. Similarly, other sections of the Constitution also. There may be also certain, you are maybe quoting somebody's speech. In that case also, it's important that you retain the crux or the core of the speech in his own or in her own words, but do not rephrase. But for the rest, I think for the rest, it's important that you rephrase and you do not quote and you do not copy and you do not plagiarize. That's very important, that you should understand the concept, analyze it, and then apply it. You don't need to at all to remember the language.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe Anjali can maybe give a better perspective on that.
Yes, sir.
I think that was a fair enough answer. But for prelims, basically, because it's MCQ, you have to memorize the facts and the timeline and the storyline. But means majorly, it's important to and tell it in your own words, because no matter how much you try to retain their language, in that heat of the moment, your own language is going to come out. So it's better to focus on redefining it and on polishing it.
Thank you, ma'am.
I am Abhishek Kumar Singh and a resident of Delhi, and I am currently pursuing my BA from Delhi University. Ma'am, is it necessary to go for coaching for this preparation?
I think both Shah sir and I did not rely on coaching for clearing this exam, even when both of us did our preparation in Delhi itself. And this precisely is because if you can devote say a decent amount of time, say 9 or 12 hours to self-study, and you don't need then you don't need coaching. But if you feel like you want to go outside and have a company of friends to study with, then maybe coaching is okay. Yeah, Shah sir, please.
Go ahead, please. Carry on.
Hello.
I was just going to add to that I do not have exact figures, or I don't remember there is any scientific study which tells us that what is the past percentage of those people who have done coaching and what's the past percentage of those people who have qualified without coaching. I recall in 2010 when I qualified, and I started with this premise that because I have done it without coaching, so it must be a good way to do things. But I think over the period of last 10 years, as I've interacted and figured out more data and met more people and understood how people are doing it, I think coaching does make a lot of difference. And I have seen that there is something about this exam which coaching does help you crack. There is some sort of idea which coaching provides you, which is better than maybe it takes you a lot of time to struggle if you're doing on your own. And also because when you are in a tuition or when you're in a coaching, you are also in a certain kind of competitive environment, see what others are doing. And I think that's an important incentive for you to improve and to learn new things. So I would say that if you can afford coaching and can manage it, I think you should go for it.
So I have a say in this that actually the guidance is really very important, because without guidance we cannot do anything. So that's a major thing.
Ma'am, actually, I have a question regarding optional subject and regional languages. I want to ask this from
First of all, please
Shah Faesal sir.
your name and then you ask the question.
Yeah, my name is Manzoor Ahmed. I am from Jammu and Kashmir district of Paras, same as Shah Faesal sir. I want to ask about the optional subject and also the regional languages which are in the Indian Constitution. For the same, I am preparing for the same. I have I have targeted 2022 for the same. I want to ask about the optional subject and regional language.
I think a lot of people, thank you very much. I think a lot of people had this conception that it's very easy to qualify the exam in regional languages. And there was a time maybe when people who took literature subjects, they would get a lot of marks. But I think later on, UPSC just cracked that code. And then a time came when the people who were taking literature subjects and languages and trying unique combination of subjects, I think they used to get even worse marks than anybody else would get. So I think it's important that if you want to take a regional language, you have to be really good at it. Some people, in our times, we used to have 2 optional subjects. So one of my optional subjects was Urdu literature. And, but I think I had a fair command on the subject, and I understood multiple languages and had a lot of passion for Urdu poetry and for Urdu prose, had read quite a bit beyond the syllabus. By the way, I wanted to clear Anjali's point also, that I did not say that you should read Tolstoy for your UPSC preparation. I was saying that there was a point elsewhere, maybe at some other point of my life, and I wanted to do that as a task, and I did that. So same is the case with literature subjects. I think if you're really good at the literature subject and you are really into it, you're passionate about it, just take it. But if you just think that this may be a crack or this may be something just sort of a hack, I think it's going to be difficult. You may not get.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Sir, Malik Umar Islam from J&K.
Okay.
Presently, I am preparing for NEET. But precisely but my dream is to become IPS UPSC officer. But presently, I have opted for medical. But I want to become an IPS IAS. I just want some guidance from you people.
I can tell you are as confused as I was when I was doing my med school. So it's okay. I mean, best of luck to you. You want to do medicine first and somebody has done
Yes,
law
sir.
first. Yeah, it's okay. So if you want to follow that track, best of luck. It's going to take a lot of time because you will need to work a lot for your NEET first. Then you have to do your med school or even engineering, and then you will have to go for a UPSC. But then, yeah, maybe we want to have a second option to fall back upon. It's okay. It's good. Whatever you are doing at this moment, I think be in the present moment, enjoy it, and work. I mean, very hard to achieve whatever you want to do in the present moment. When we will cross the bridge when the bridge comes, and when tomorrow you have to prepare for civil services, we'll talk about that also. But I think at this moment, give your best for your NEET exam. That's what you want to do this time.
Am I audible?
Good
Yes.
afternoon.
Can I
Am I
can I
audible?
ask my
Can you hear
question
me?
to?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So my name is Awais. I'm from J&K, and I've done my graduation recently, and I'm doing right now. I'm doing to give this year prelims both KS and IS. My question is towards Dr. Shah Faesal is that how to distinguish between these two exams, KS and IS, and how to separate them both? How similar are the exams?
I think what has happened is that over a period of time, the Public Service Commission of our state, it has also upgraded the quality of the questions to the UPSC level. I think the syllabus is also very much close to how it is done at the UPSC level. I have also, I think, qualified prelims KS exam once upon a time, so I can understand that. I can tell you maybe that if you are preparing for UPSC, it's definitely going to give you a lot of edge when it comes to qualifying, preparing for KS. Maybe some of the syllabus may be a bit different, maybe that you can look for, but I think 80 to 90% your training, your coaching is already being done. I mean, it's being done well. I think I need to do one more session for J&K students, especially. Anjali might be feeling that why all the questions to Shah Faesal. Yeah.
Kindly, sir.
I have one question from Assam.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Ashwak. I come from a small village in Assam.
Okay.
So right now I am a mathematics student in DU. Like I am in last year of my mathematics course. So sir, my question is to you as well as Anjali ma'am is, since I am a mathematics student, how do I select the optional subject? Like I have, like apart from history, geography and politics, apart from that, how do I decide like which should be my subject for the optionals?
Anjali, can you comment on that?
Yeah, I think it's important, like 4 to 5 things are important while selecting your option. First is that it should interest you. You should have interest in it because you're obviously going to give a lot of time to it. Second, you should it should have a definite course. It should not be like if the course is so vast that you wouldn't be able to complete it. Third, if it's good if it has helps in your other GS as well. But even if it doesn't, but if you have a strong command on it, then we'll go ahead with it. We've had Karya, the last year's topper, mathematics background. So do think that there is enough material for it, there is a defined course for it, and you have interest in it, then you can take mathematics also as your option.
Thank you.
I agree with that. I think if you can look at economics, if you like that subject, I think for somebody who has done mathematics, I think economics could be a natural choice, which is very relevant to the nature of the work as a civil servant that you're doing.
Hello. My question is to Shah Faesal sir. Sir, I'm from J&K and especially I'm from Bandipur, where Shah Faesal sir got posted as DM, and before he got posted as directorate to the education department. My question is, my question is that last year, hello.
Yeah,
Danish,
what
go
is
ahead.
your question? Come
Um,
to the point.
my question is that last year I sat in the UPSC exam in the prelims, but I think there is an option. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So so the questions asked in the ancient history and medieval
Hmm. We can
medieval
hear you.
part
Go ahead.
and the ancient and the art and culture, they in fact proved to be counterproductive, and I think they were the questions that backfired. So I think my preparation for those subjects was not maybe streamlined. I so I want to ask you, so if there is some technical methodology to prepare for these sections, because these sections are very much bulky in information, and it's very difficult to retain all of the information.
Ancient history,
Ancient art and
ancient
culture
and
and the
medieval.
medieval part,
Yeah. So
they have backfired me in the last UPSC
I
prelims.
totally empathize with you, and I have seen a lot of students really struggling with ancient and medieval history because people feel that modern history is the only important section of the history. And when
Yes.
they start getting questions from ancient and medieval, I mean, it really becomes very difficult, and people flunk all those questions. I think now that you have identified this problem, I think what you should do is put in some extra effort on that. I think I have seen a lot of study material which is focused on, I mean, it has concentrated this ancient and medieval, I mean, points and tidbits from that. And I think you should get that book from the market. And I think that's going to help you. Modern
So,
history is important, but if the day they ask you things from ancient and medieval, it's going to be
so
difficult
sir,
unless you have at least
in
the
the
basic understanding.
sir, in the recent years, they have increased the weightage of ancient, medieval, and art and culture parts in the prelims exam. So
Correct.
last year I have closely failed. The marks have not been yet released, but I'm sure I've closely failed in the last prelims exam. So, but these are the only sections that backfired me. So
Anjali,
I
can you
want to
please
ask you,
also bring in your perspective?
is there some technical methodology to uh, invoke here to deal with this section?
Let
I
Anjali first give an input, then I'll say.
I don't think so there's any technical technology, but you can refer to books that I referred to in art and culture, Nitin Singhania, and the Tamil Nadu textbook that comes for ancient and medieval. That gives you a general cursory idea. Then there is NCRTs, 12th NCRTs, and there's fine arts, 12th key. So all of these books combined, they give you pretty much a good idea. And then there are specific subjects, specific topics that get repetitively, like dances and culture, and which Ministry of Culture has.
Yeah, and I understand that, ma'am. Ma'am, I understand that. I want to specifically ask, what is the methodology to go about it? Because there is a lot of bulky information. There is bulky information, and to recollect it and retain it, to absorb it all, and to streamline it it's becoming very difficult for me.
I agree with you. I think Anjali, what basically he's speaking is that I have seen many JNK students struggle with ancient and medieval. It's also partly because the kind of curriculum and syllabus which we have for the high school and high
Yes.
secondary school, we don't read much of ancient and medieval there. It's more focused on a little bit of Mughal rule and majorly the modern India. So I think how I have done it, I remember in my time, is that I used to see what are the major facts of ancient and medieval history. What are some major epochs? Suppose you are reading about Buddhism, you're reading about Jainism, and you're reading about the Maurya dynasty, you're reading about dynasty, and you're reading about a little bit of South India. I think broadly maybe important facts I think you should remember. More than that, it's impossible for anybody to, I think, understand everything about ancient and medieval is very, very complex. I think, but broader facts, I think you should focus on, and that's good. That's also going to give you a kind of hook to look at other facts.
Yes, sir.
Maybe we can talk about this in detail some other time. You can email me on that.
Hello. This is Zubair from Yaripura, Kulgam. My question is, what keeps us motivated? Because there are some kind of distractions and disturbances past few years from of J&K students. सर मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे यही है कि हम कैसे अपने आप को इस लेवल पे रख सकते हैं कि हाँ चलो कोई नहीं है, बस हमें ये करना है वो करना है, जो हमें ये मोटिवेट कर सके, वो पॉजिटिव वाइब्स दे सके हमें। सर आपका माइक म्यूट पे है।
Zubair, I empathize completely that you come from a very difficult part of the Kashmir Valley. And to be very honest, I can totally relate to the ups and downs that you're talking about. But when it comes to me, one thing which I have always believed is that we have this one life. It's
Yes, sir.
about living this life. I feel this is such a Lord's gift to us that we are alive, we are conscious in this world, and we want to live this life. I just want to make use of every moment which has been given to me. I do not want to worry about anything else. I want, first thing is that I want to be happy myself. I want everybody else to be happy. But for that, the condition is that I want to live myself first. I want to enjoy this life and value this gift of God which has been given to us. I think whenever you feel despaired, feel that this is one life that you have and everything else is unimportant before that. I think that'll give you the strength to move on. When I'm in Kashmir next time, maybe we can meet and I can listen to your story and I can tell you how, in spite of all the adversities, one can move on in life.
That will be our most kindness. I already just mailed you before some past few days, but
I'm sorry I must have missed it, but you can maybe DM me on Twitter or somewhere. We can keep in touch.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah, I can see you.
Sir, I'm Bhat Muzaffar from Kashmir. My question
Okay.
is to Shah Faesal, sir.
Yeah.
Being
Go
my
ahead.
idol from last 5 years, sir, while pursuing a BTech degree in such a disturbed environment, how to be consistent and how much hours I should give to prepare such a difficult exam while I'm pursuing last year of BTech.
I can totally understand. I mean, it's very difficult when you are living in a state of turmoil and when things around are not going well. How do you stay focused? I think one important suggestion I would give to you is that maybe if you can possibly shift from your own place either to Srinagar or to Delhi or to Jammu, I think that would be amazing. If you cannot do that, maybe change a little bit of your company. Maybe start also talking to people who you have not been talking of late. That will also maybe widen a little bit, bring in some fresh air into you. And also look at people who have been doing it. Kashmir or our small place, it's finally a small place of the world. There is this huge entire world where tremendous new things are happening. There are people like Elon Musk, there are people like Gates, there are people like Bezos, people like who are doing tremendous work for this world. I think let's look at their lives, how big things are happening in this world, and stay motivated because of that.
Like as you and Anjani ma'am also, you prepared with self-study. I have a question like how one can self-evaluate the answers at home, if one is going for self-study.
Anjali, can you please start?
I did take coaching institutes test series, so I got my evaluated from there. But otherwise, if you have any friends of yours interest, then that could be the case. And for prelims, it's easier because the of on itself. But you do need a second or third person. But because mains questions are very common, so even if your friends or family can chip in and evaluate it, that would be good.
Anjali ma'am,
Yes, ma'am, please have a word and strategy for those aspirants who are working professionals.
Go ahead.
I think sir would be able to better answer this because he was working while preparing.
Sir, I'm Sheikh Mohsin from...
I was a medical doctor that time for a public school, but ultimately I think it becomes difficult beyond a certain point to carry these two yokes together. I think you will have to leave one yoke and maybe get onto the one only so that you can give your full time to this, because this is an exam which needs complete dedication, complete focus of your mind. I don't think you can maybe spend rest of your day, get tired and then read it. Because people who are competing with you, they are really putting in their maximum and their best into it. If you want to really be at par with them, you will have to give as much effort, put in as much effort for this. So I would suggest that maybe if you can take a leave for some time, or maybe then think of a larger period of time. Maybe if you want to do it in one attempt, then it might take you 2 attempts. Target for the next year and have a I think that's how it can work.
My last question is for Shah Faesal Sahab, that regional languages are mandatory for the same exam or not? Or we can give examination in English only?
Can you please update on that?
Sir, I am asking that is regional language is mandatory for the same exam, or we can write all the papers in English language?
My understanding is that you can write in other languages also, but I think Anjali needs to update it.
You can write in Hindi, English, that's for sure. Regional language.
To read or write Hindi, I have my regional language is Urdu, and that I can write Urdu as a regional language.
Honestly speaking, I remember a lot of people write in Urdu medium. People have Hindi medium also. I will have to check it out. Maybe I can post an update on this later on. I don't know the latest guidelines of this year, but I will have to check.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, if we are preparing for any exam, whether it be UPSC or any other exams, okay?
Yeah, my
What should be the approach for completing the syllabus? Like, should we prepare multiple subjects on daily basis or just go one by one? And what approach takes us to the maximum understanding and gives better output from any subject?
I think that's a very important question. I think what you should do at least is that one revision you should complete of all the subjects well before the exam. If you have 2 months for the exam, I think at least one revision should have all things. And then you should start repeating and revising, I think, all the textbooks one more time.
My question is for Dr. Shah Faesal as well as Anjali ma'am. I'm from Srinagar and I'm in my final year of my college. My question is how to overcome the peer pressure that one goes through while preparing for the exam. As most of our friends go on for the masters, they become entrepreneurs. It's known fact that we have to ourselves be motivated, but still have to do the process. So how to stay motivated and
I think that's a very important question. Anjali ji, can you please give your inputs?
Again, I would like to stress that if your why is clear, then you would get motivated every now and then whenever the motivation is needed. So you should know why you want to join civil services, why are you preferring it, and why you want to give in all your hard work to become a civil servant. What is it that attracts you? And it could be as simple as living a good life, and it could be as complicated as being a bureaucracy, but a very effective part of it.
I think the important point here is that peer pressure for this exam is, I think, good. It may not be good for all other exams, but this is a competitive exam. If you see somebody doing well, somebody excelling, somebody completing syllabus in a far better manner, somebody having better materials available with them, I think that should inspire you to match up, catch up, and maybe learn more. That shouldn't put you in any sort of stress.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Can I have a word with Dr. Preparation? And so I used to listen to all these proper talks. They used to say that we should always start our preparation with understanding the syllabus and the past year question papers. So what I'm struggling with right now is I don't know how to analyze these question papers, the past year question papers, as I don't know a lot of the theory and everything. So what is the way we should analyze the past year question papers?
I saw many. I was very excited to see one podcast on YouTube. It's an open session where people are discussing previous year's question papers. I think it's a 6 hours long podcast or something. I think you should look for the materials on YouTube. People have really worked very hard to explain last year's questions and understand patterns and help you with making your choices. I think those online sources are very important. And also, as I said earlier, also that if you can find an opportunity for getting coached somewhere, maybe if you have an opportunity or access to a nearby coaching center, I think that would also, guidance is always important. I think you should take it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anjali ma'am, would you like to?
Hello, sir. I'm not asking for. I'm not asking for.
Please say.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Hi, sir. This is Irshad from.
Hi, how are you? Go ahead.
I'm doing great. Thank you very much, sir. I just want to tell you that I love you so much. You are an inspiration. I'm pretty unfortunate living in Kashmir and I didn't get a chance to meet you. I didn't get a chance to meet
very
you.
much, Irshad. I hope to meet you soon.
Inshallah, I work as a lecturer in Department of Education, and I still remember the time when you were there. You worked as a director of education. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm not. This is what I wanted to tell you.
Another time, Irshad, we will have this conversation.
That's all. That's all I wanted to tell you. I love you. Thank you so
It's a
much.
pleasure. Love you too. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.